Welcome to this webinar. My name is Stacey Dixon. I'm a Client Relationship Manager at Identity Experts. Today I'm going to run through who Identity Experts are, our secure hybrid identity stance, and take you through the fundamentals of a zero trust approach to security and identity with recommendations on how you can begin or fine-tune that journey. Founded in 2014, Identity Experts has grown to become one of Microsoft's most highly accredited independent technical support and implementation providers who specialise in Microsoft's technology solutions for identity and access management, along with enterprise mobility and security solutions. We're recently one of only very few Microsoft Gold partners in the UK to have invested in developing a product offering and workshop delivery programme to customers in need of SOC capability using Azure Sentinel. Working together with our partners in identity and security, we look to support our customers on the journey to a secure hybrid identity formed on the basis of a zero trust model. Our joint services focus on secure hybrid identity and access management, Microsoft security stack including Sentinel, identity and zero trust assessments, annual support contracts and training and advisory services. At Identity Experts, we recognise and uphold three universal truths about identity management and security, which are that every identity solution is as unique as the organisation it serves, not one t-shirt fits all. Identity is a journey rather than a destination, and we're here to support you through it from start to end, or refocus the journey that you're already on. Identity is inextricably woven together with security and enablement, and we would like to show you how when we're working with you. In our work within identity and security and the compliance space, we've seen a few common, if unproductive, trends. Organisations separating out identity, security and compliance. Competitor approaches that focus on either on-premise or cloud, ignoring hybrid environments completely. A desperate need for organisations to lead with zero trust. And we're taking these trends and changing how we work to directly challenge the status quo of our customers' benefit. A separation of identity and security. It shouldn't be that. Identity underpins security and both areas need to be brought entirely together. A preference for on-prem or in the cloud. Hybrid is a more accurate depiction of reality we find with our customers today, with many organisations still sitting between the cloud and on-prem. A need for organisations to lead with zero trust. The zero trust approach is key to securing identities within hybrid environments, granting and revoking additional trust as and when it's necessary. Our approach to helping customers with their digital transformation and identity journey is deceptively simple. We recognise the role identity plays as the linchpin of security, whilst adapting technologies to hybrid reality many organisations are currently living with. Security effectively boils down to the controlling of access, limiting the right people to the right access at the right time, whilst keeping dubious players such as hackers and disgruntled employees from getting their hands on our sensitive data. Meanwhile, despite the cloud revolution, the reality for many organisations is that they still sit somewhere in the middle, with a hybrid environment that uses both on-premise and cloud-based elements. Securing identities plays out in the hybrid space, and so solutions must be tailored to make a favourable environment. At the heart of everything is identity, and this is what we're working so hard to protect. Our individual identities are made up of the credentials, profiles and permissions that help us to do our jobs and access data and systems. When these identities are compromised, suspect parties can soon find themselves with the keys to the kingdom. For years, the firewall reigned supreme as the first line of defence against the world. It was sufficient in policing the network to ensure that those inside its boundaries were kept safe from the outside threats and malicious actors of the wilds of the internet. Now, a modern enterprise has to deal with a rapidly evolving landscape with their own infrastructure, cloud services, collaboration with partners and service providers, as well as the growing use of BYOD, bring your own device, and potential for self-sovereign identity, or if you will, bring your own identity, which is on the horizon, and the old and familiar controls of device and user account begin to struggle. By reframing our perspective around trust, it's possible to encode your organisation's DNA with the right questions for establishing a secure landscape. Who do you trust? What do you trust them to do or have access to? And how do we ensure that this trust is kept, particularly when working with people who are not directly under our supervision or control? Although much of this may seem obvious, many organisations and their employees find themselves stifled by two particular identity-based challenges: identity fatigue and identity trust. Identity experts take a joined-up approach to securing organisations and their hybrid environments, and the journey of 1,000 miles, of course, starts with a map to the destination. As we perhaps are all familiar, zero trust is built around a single ideal of never trust, always verify. We understand that although zero trust is a common term thrown around in our industry today, the concept of it can still be vague with a lot of organisations that we consult with. And for that reason, we brought to market the Zero Trust Roadmap, which is designed to help organisations understand the role that Zero Trust can play in the current stages of their identity and security journey, whatever that stage might be, from the start to the middle to the end. Now more than ever, organisations have had to and need to continue to transform to new security models that adapt to the complexity of the modern environment, that embrace that mobile workforce, and that protects our people, our devices and our data, no matter the location. Our roadmap is designed to assess the foundational elements that form a zero trust model, which are identities. When an identity attempts to access a resource, we need to verify that the identity has strong authentication, ensure access is compliant and typical for that identity, and that it follows least privileged access principles. Privilege is a key part of the zero trust model, and organisations often have workloads across multiple vendors, be that in Azure, G Suite, AWS, you name it. The management of the network and those workloads require privileged access that you don't want to be vulnerable to lateral movement and a broad attack surface. The Zero Trust model states that you should limit access of privileged users wherever possible. This means only allowing privileged roles to access the bare minimum required to perform a privileged task. We concentrate on principles of just enough access and just-in-time access. Moving on to devices. Once an identity has been granted access to a resource, data can flow to a variety of different devices, be that an IoT, Internet of Things device, to smartphones, bring your own device to partner manager device, and on-premise workloads to cloud-hosted servers. This diversity creates a massive attack surface area, requiring that we monitor and enforce device health and compliance for secure access. Applications and APIs provide the interface by which data is consumed. There may be legacy on-premises, lifted and shifted applications into cloud workloads, or modern software as a service applications. Controls and technologies should be applied to discover shadow IT for the applications that our users are using and that we don't know about. Ensure appropriate in-app permissions, gate access based on real-time analytics, monitor for abnormal behaviour, control of user actions, and validate secure configuration options. And data. Ultimately, we know that security teams are focused on protecting data. Where possible, data should remain safe, even if it leaves the devices, applications, infrastructure, and networks the organisation controls. Data should be classified, labelled, and encrypted, and access restricted based on those attributes. So I've talked a lot about locking down identities, devices, and privileged access, and it sounds like a nightmare for the end user and administrators. That's where artificial intelligence and conditional access step up to balance productivity and security. Conditional access allows you to grant based on specific conditions that you specify. To allow access, you create conditional access policies that allow or block access based on whether or not the requirements in the policy are met. You can dynamically apply access controls based on user behaviour, time, location and resource sensitivity without any manual intervention. And then finally, we need to monitor all of these transactions for your workloads and networks. You need to have a SIEM solution in place to centrally monitor events, and we need to provide auditable records so that they can be traced in order to investigate an event in the future. And a key part of the roadmap needs to also address licensing. Licensing can be a minefield at the best of times, but we aim as part of the roadmap to make this simple. Build you a picture of your licensing landscape. We look to analyse current usage of Microsoft 365 and Azure licensing, comparisons with third-party vendors to highlight potential displacement. Optimise license utilisation through reporting on current user license usage. Enhance MI with powerful business reporting based on Power BI. Embrace how we work today with home working analytics. And to improve security with in-depth information about account usage, admin accounts, and more. So what can you do from here? Identity experts can work with you to initially discover and document the current state of your security and identity landscape. Identify the areas that are most vulnerable and document the maturity of your identities and security and the life cycle of such. Define a strategy. This will look like short, medium and long-term steps. Are there quick wins, low user impact changes, perhaps changes that are low or no cost whatsoever? Look at where you are most vulnerable. And then what are the large impact big wins that will push you further towards the zero trust model, but that might require significant business investment or buy-in? For most organisations, that would start with a concerted effort of consolidating your identities, because identities are the new control plane for access to data and resources. Implementation. Start to implement processes as per your strategy. Where possible, convey the tangible benefits or progress to users and key stakeholders. It's important that any pilots you run include a variety of users across the business to get a true idea of the user impact and the re-education that might be required. And then we're on to a review of what's been achieved. Then back to the start again, back to discovery, identify your new current state and see if we've missed anything, see if we need to review anything, or if there's new technology available out there, how do we now incorporate that as we go forward? The Zero Trust Roadmap is here today to help you understand your current state, where your organisation lies in terms of a Zero Trust model. The assessment will uncover areas of risk and improvement associated with your identity and security processes, and then will provide a report with insights into the current status of these areas with short, medium and long-term recommendations and a roadmap for working towards the Zero Trust model. Thank you for your time and listening to this webinar. Please do get in touch with the contact details that you can see on the screen, either by email or by phone. And we look forward to speaking to you in the future. Thank you.